Hello and welcome again to From the Bandroom with me, Andrew Fake. Today we're in Whitefield, halfway between Manchester and Bury, at the Bandroom of one of the country's oldest and most famous brass bands, Besses of the Barn. Established in 1818, the band moved into its present Bandroom in the 1880s and at the turn of the century undertook 2 world tours. In more recent times, the band has had both Andre Previn and Sir Simon Rattle as vice presidents. The list of former MDs reads like a who's who of the brass band world and includes Derek Broadbent, Paul Hindmarsh, Steve Sykes and Roy Newsom. At the helm for the last couple of years has been the well-known adjudicator and former principal cornet at Wingate's band, Trevor Halliwell, and he starts the programme off with the band's signature march, Whitefield.
Whitefield is the Besses of the Barn's headquarters, the Bandroom. It could easily have been a barn, this like the one that gave him the name, but this is where you get that dreaded disease, Bessitis, for which there is no known cure.
Trevor, you've been with the band now since, I think, 2017, is that right?
It's May 2016, I think it was.
Oh, right. So
yeah, 2016.
And what brought you to Besses? Do you have any previous connections with the band?
Well, I used to play for Wingates, which are just down the road. We used to get together quite a lot, so I've always enjoyed playing here. And when I heard back in 2016 that the band were going through, let's call it a purple period, you know, where they would lost a lot of players and they were trying to build back up, I just didn't want the band to go down and get lost in the ether like many other good bands have.
It's a famous old name, isn't it?
Exactly. So I offered my help back then and I'm still here.
So you mentioned Wingates. You did have a long and distinguished career as a player and you're known as a conductor and adjudicator as well. And I believe in the late 70s you won the Champion Soloist of Great Britain prize. I think
I did, 79 and 80.
Yeah. Oh, and 80, right.
Yeah, the one in 1980, the first prize was a trip, all-paid trip to Australia, playing around the New South Wales area of Sydney and that area.
For me, that was sort of when I was just starting out playing, and that would have put you in a long list of star cornet players, if you like. You know, my teacher Graham Walker won it just before you, and then of course there was Jimmy Shepherd just before that, and you got back together with James Shepherd, I think, in the Versatile Brass.
I did, yes.
So that would have been on flugel, I presume.
That was on flugel, yeah. It's a nice instrument, flugel. Yeah. It's an instrument that can bridge the gap between brass band, jazz, and all sorts of different genres. So it's I enjoy playing flugel.
I'm joined by cornet player Jim Murray off the back row. Jim, you've been here a while. When did you join the band?
1947.
And was that the senior band?
The boys' band.
That was the boys' band, right.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the start of a very, very long journey.
Yeah.
So come on then, tell us the story of Jim Murray.
Well, I started here in the boys' band in 1947. I left in 1956 because I'd taken an apprenticeship, which meant I couldn't attend band rehearsals. Yes. During that time I became principal cornet of the Blakely band. Came back here in 1961, left again in 1970 because my job took me away.
Again, yeah.
I played for the Thornset band, the Marple band twice. Then I went to the CWS band. That became the City of Manchester band. I stayed there from 1985 to 1992 and came back here.
And to say, coming back to your awards, we've got medals, we've got certificates. It must have been a great honour for you, I suppose, to be the band's president in the 200th year as well.
Yes, that was very, very, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they presented you with a medal, which we've got here.
Yeah, and then last year at the area at Blackpool, the North Western Brass Band Association presented me with a long service medal.
Yes, it says here Platinum Diploma of Honour. I've seen a few long service awards given out, but not many of this sort of stature, and there's a medal with it as well. So
yes, there is, yeah.
That must have been a really nice day for you.
Oh, it certainly was.
Yeah. Well, it's been lovely to talk to you. It's always great to meet people who've been in lots of bands around an area, and particularly people who've got a long service with this one. So hope yours continues for many years to come, Jim. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Gordon Hardman is second cornet player and secretary of the band currently, and has been here, I think, since the early 1970s. Is that right, Gordon?
That's correct, yeah.
But I think you have family history linked to the band going back a lot further.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, my connection with the band started before I came here, because my great-grandfather, Joe Hardman, played the cornet from the 1880s to the 1920s.
So it was sort of destined that you'd come here one day, I guess, as a cornet
Well,
player.
yes. I mean, I appeared 2 generations down the line without any forethought that my grandfather had played with the band. So it was a bit spooky that I should turn up on the scene playing cornet.
So did you know this, or did somebody tell you when you got here?
Eventually, my dad told me that his grandfather
Yeah.
played with the band.
After you'd started playing with them?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it is a little bit spooky.
It
then,
is
isn't
really,
it?
yeah.
And you are the secretary now. Now, is that contest or concerts? 'Cause I know-
Mainly concerts, yeah.
So you're in charge of that. And I see on the walls there's a fair diary. Is it a big job getting the bookings and everything?
It is these days, yes, because quite a few years ago, organisations and people would come to the band quite regularly and book us and rebook us.
Yeah.
These days, it's a bit more difficult. We tend to have to put ourselves out there a bit more. And we're doing that to a reasonable degree of success.
Okay, well, Gordon, thanks very much. Been nice to talk to you.
Pleasure, thank you.
Adam Galloway joined Besses of the Barn from the Rainford band just after the areas last year on principal cornet, and is here with me now. But Adam, like a lot of people in this Bandroom, or so it seems, there is a family connection, I think, to Besses, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. My dad played for the band. I think he played at an Open. I'm not sure of the year. And also my granddad also played horn as well. I think there's a couple of the distant family uncles, late uncles and great granddads as well.
So, you're going to play quite a challenging solo for us, which is?
Yeah. It's Tico Tico.
Okay, and I say it's challenging because I can't play it. Do you, how do you find it?
Rather challenging, yeah, I really do.
It's quite technical, isn't it, in
It
places?
is, yeah, but I think it's quite light in style, so that's why I enjoy it.
It's quite an old piece, I think, made famous in the 1940s, but I think dating back to the First World War. I'm told by our producer that Tico Tico no Fuba means sparrow in the cornmeal. I bet you didn't know that, did you?
Absolutely
No,
not.
you're probably far too busy practicing it to get the notes in for
Exactly.
nonsense like that. So I'll let you go and get set up, and thanks for talking to us.
Thanks very much.
You're listening to From the Bandroom on East Leeds FM with the Besses of the Barn Band. So Barrie Chappell, you're vice chairman of the band now, aren't you?
I am indeed,
And how
yes.
long have you played with the band?
I joined Besses in 1975.
So long-serving member to say
Yeah,
the least.
I played for a few years till 1979, then I conducted the boys band for 13 years after that.
And we're sitting in this, I mean, it's an old room, this, and you're going to tell me a little bit about some of the trials and tribulations of the band room, but there's some real history in here as well. You know, you go into a lot of band rooms and there's certificates up from contests and photos of old bands and things like that, but you've got things like photos from tours to Australia, you know, when the band toured the world. You've got things from the 1900s, you've got press cuttings from over a century. It's an amazing place to come. And the band's been in here since the 1880s, I think.
1883.
But nearly wasn't.
During some of the bad times, the band actually moved out to a community centre round the corner there. Right. And unfortunately, we had to do exactly the same thing to the exact same community centre a few years back because we had no heating in the place for 3 winters.
So does the band room belong to the band?
It does indeed, yes.
And
yes.
was that always the
case?
case?
It was the property of the Besses of the Barn Band Company Limited, and it was given back to the band, and it's our responsibility to uphold the building and all the other things involved with it.
So what's been the programme over the last few years then? Because I know it was
Well,
a struggle
mainly,
to get the
after
band
I
back
said about the heating, we had to get a new boiler
Yeah.
and a new heating system, which we did.
And there's evidence downstairs. I know you've got
Yes,
the
yes,
area
we've
downstairs.
cleared the
some
cellar.
carpeting and everything.
We've
to
got
do.
lots to do, but we can only go the speed we have the money for.
Yeah, and obviously as many volunteers as you can get, the better.
Yeah, we have a Sunday morning maintenance team,
All right.
which anybody, if you're welcome to come along and help.
But it's a history worth preserving, as I say, when you look
It is.
round
It's like
these
a
walls.
mecca in the brass band world. This,
Yeah.
you know, people come just to come into the building.
Yes.
So it's got to be preserved for future generations.
Well, it's looking well for the future. So.
It is indeed. Yes.
Thanks very much, Barrie.
Thank you.
E-flat bass player John Wiseman is the current chairman of the Besses of the Barn Band. So come on, John, give us your chairman's report. How's the band doing?
I've only been with Besses 3 years, and in that time we've gone from only having about 14 players to having a full band again today. So the band has greatly improved, both playing and the work that we do and how we do it.
And of course, this is a famous old contest in band. You know, there's British Open wins in there. And now, you know, you've built the band up. Are we back on the contest scene and doing well?
We've been in contests this year, and this year we've been the top Northwest band in our section at both Rochdale and Buxton, and we're looking forward to the areas.
Do you enjoy your trips to Blackpool?
I enjoy my trips to Blackpool. I got back into brass banding after a 20-year break, and when I went to Blackpool with Mearside Brass, a fourth section band, it was the closest thing I'm ever going to get to sport again. You know, getting onto the stage and competing and playing your part, it gave me that buzz, that adrenaline rush, and I love it.
And of course, we mentioned Blackpool. It's a great day out. I think it's my favourite area to play at the Northwest because everything's in the same building at the same time on the same day. And it's like going to the Spring Festival.
Yeah, and it's not just that. Your wristband gets you in to see any band.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years, my daughter's played with the band, and we've gone in and we've watched championship section bands. You know, we watched Fordens, we watched Leyland. We've then gone and listened to fourth section bands that I used to play with. And then we've gone in and listened to, you know, some in our section or others. And she's been able to see a plethora of everything on the day.
Sounds as though you're enjoying your playing again. Certainly sounds as though you're enjoying your tenure as chairman. So well done on supporting the band like that. But thanks for talking to us today.
You're welcome.
So my last guest today is Karl Whelan. Karl, you're the solo euphonium with Besses, and I think a fairly recent addition to the band.
Yeah, I came to the band last October.
So where were you before you came here then?
I was at Goulburn Band. That's
Right,
sort of based Warrington, Wigan area.
Right, and are you from up there?
Yeah, I live in Goulburn.
And the reason we're talking to you is that you're actually responsible for the last piece of music, which caused our producer Phil a few headaches because he saw that we were playing a march called The Sorcerer. He thought, I know, that'll be George Allen, who I think did The Wizard and things like that. And so he's gone and researching it and found absolutely nothing. And it was only when he looked again that it was actually composed from within the band. So tell us a little bit about The Sorcerer and how that came about.
It was written as an entry into the Corey Composition Competition 2019. When we come to band, we come in Trevor's car. And he very often has a CD of music that he's composed that week. And he was doing my head in. He had like 12 minutes worth of music. I'm lucky if I come up with 12 bars. So this one weekend I found myself with some free time and I thought, I'm going to write something. And I wrote this march. I played it to Trevor in the car. I'm like, it doesn't have a title. He sat there for a bit and he went, why don't you call it The Sorcerer? I said, well, why is that? He's like, well, because things keep popping up in it. And that's how I came up with the title.
Because it's a proper old school brass band title, I think that.
Yeah.
Man, he's a
Trevor's
proper
fault.
old school brass band conductor, isn't he?
Yeah.
And is it very much in the style of those traditional marches then?
Yeah, it's got bits of Bramwin in, bits of the Wizard. It's also got bits of Trevor's march in it. I don't think he's even realised yet.
So thanks very much, Karl. And so we reach the end of our programme. Thanks to Trevor Halliwell and to the Best of the Barn Band for their hospitality and of course for an excellent programme of music. From the Bandroom was presented by me, Andrew Fake, and produced by Phil Driscoll.